the state of things, room or office, either way, it's Brian's space. Asking someone to take their shoes off at the entrance is the same as saying, this is my boundary. Any hesitation is lack of submission. All of y'all's submission is conditional and a headache. That is a good point, the state of things. If any of the panelists wish to respond to this, they can.
My stilettos are soft.
I feel like the boundaries with the house is correct, but like you comparing house rules to being in a relationship and being a leader, a guy in a relationship is not the same. You might have to
but those
be a little more gracious.
Might reflect into a relationship, right? How you act in your everyday life.
I don't know. I might act with some strangers differently than my partner.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say you're out at a restaurant and you're with a guy that you I don't know, first date, and he treats that waitress like shit. Well, the way that you treat somebody out in public isn't necessarily going to be an indicator of how he's going to treat you. However, despite this, if he treats that waitress like a piece of shit and is fucking rude to her, you don't think somewhere in your head, it doesn't even cross your mind, is he going to treat me like this in some way or one day? You wouldn't be like, well, maybe it's okay.
It does, definitely, but it's nuances in that. Like, us here, we don't know you guys that much, so you guys are setting your boundaries. We're going to question you a little bit more versus our partners or something like that, because we know them for sure, trust their judgment, know that they have our best interests at heart. Not saying you guys don't, but it is a different situation. Not saying that anything can't be reflected from that, but it's a different situation.
I don't understand this "we're going to question you" thing. Like, I would actually agree if I was like, hey, wear that stupid In-N-Out hat. You might ask, oh, why? But it occurs to me that asking somebody to remove their shoes at the front door is a not only commonly practiced, what's the term for it? Like
manners.
Common practice.
It's a common.
I agree with that. House rules is house rules.
It's a common practice, and even if it wasn't, she admitted to practicing it herself, so she would already be aware of the various justifications as to why somebody would want such a rule in place. You don't want dirt dragged in, you don't want dirty shoes on carpet, whatever it is. Maybe it's when it comes to germs or whatever it is. So
as a woman, do you think women are always supposed to submit to every man that they meet?
No.
Right.
But what he's saying though is that that's a reflection of a certain personality type, and what it is it's a rejection of authority. Because in that particular instance, that's something that doesn't really require a question. Yeah, I'll take my shoes off. So he's saying that she is actually quite disagreeable rather than submissive, and he's trying to dig deeper to see how it reflects in the relationship.
I don't disagree. I question. That's not the same.
And submission, being submissive is a scale. Like, you could be somewhere on that scale. Like, you don't have to say yes to everything.
It actually
that means
is not. It's not really a scale actually, because what it means is that you say yes to your man in what he wants. And
to your
his
man.
decision.
You just
But we're talking. Listen.
Wait.
I understand the distinction. It's not funny. I understand the distinction between relationship and what happened here. And we've made the distinction about 20 times now when we say that what happened was a reflection of something that might happen in a relationship. Now we're talking about being in a relationship, okay? Everyone understand? Good. Okay. So in a relationship, though, it's quite distinct when you're talking about being submissive. Because if you get to choose when you're submissive or not, that just means that you're the boss.
Can I add something? So I think that this issue is more of a manners etiquette thing than like showing if they're submissive to a man.
I agree. Yes.
It's more manners.
Right.
And like how you were brought up and being I don't know, I'm Persian, so like we're taught from a young age to be really like kind, and when you go to somebody's house, it's like whatever they say goes, and then usually the host is always like offering things to the guests and everything. So it's it's more maybe a cultural thing and also etiquette rather than a measure of submission to a man.
I would agree with you, but I think you can make certain inferences about somebody's behavior. And this all stems from, she was saying like, oh, men are no longer masculine. Well, I don't disagree with that, But I think women are no longer feminine, and a component of femininity is submission. You guys want traditional men, but you don't want to be submissive. You want a dominant man, you want a leader, but you don't want to submit. And so we're not dating. This isn't a like relationship dynamic, but like I'm gonna make an inference. Like for example, if with that, if I see a girl being really combative and disagreeable, like if I'm on a first date with her and she's being disagreeable to the waiter, or she's kind of like questioning something, not with me, but somebody else, in a way that I'm like.
Or if you go to somebody's house and she questions why she has to take her shoes off.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. If I was on a date with a girl and I was going over to my buddy's house if I was on a date with a girl and I was going over to my buddy's house and my buddy had a rule like, hey, you got to take your shoes off at the front door, and she was like, why? I would be like, that's not directed at me. That's not directed at me, but that's like, ooh, red flag for the relationship. So
It's like a personality measure, like measuring what their personality is going to be.
And also that would be embarrassing in public. If you were to take them to someone's house and they would embarrass you by, starting this thing about taking the shoes off.
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm like, this is a important like if it was like a work meeting or something and you're going over to the CEO's house for dinner, he invited you for like, oh, you're about to get a raise, you're about to get a promotion, and then you bring your girlfriend, and the nice wife is like, oh, excuse me, dear, could we just have you take your shoes off at the front? And then she's like, why? Bro, that promotion is over.
If she's with her man, then she should probably turn to her guy and be like, why do you think he wants me to take my shoes off?
No, oh my.
I mean, I don't think it's reasonable. I understand, like, you should take your shoes off. I didn't have a problem taking my shoes off since I got here.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, like, there's other ways you go about it that I wouldn't say is non-submissive. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like maybe you're right about how it comes on like you said it comes on a scale and you said it doesn't, but you said something about, I'm sorry, my brain is fried. Fucking.
But when you're talking about like personality traits, like agreeableness,
right,
being more disagreeable, that comes on a scale. Some people are less agreeable than others. You seem like a kind of like a disagreeable person, but men tend to be a little bit more disagreeable than women, but not by that much.
I actually work with people, and all my people love me, and I have a great reputation.
Oh, it doesn't mean you're a bad person.
It's not that. I think you're trying to. It's okay. But
what am I trying to do? What do you think I'm trying to do?
I think both of you trying to walk like really high volume on my stilettos, letting go at the door, but it's okay.
It's not
I
that.
love it.
When I say that you seem like a disagreeable, I'm also a very disagreeable person. You might have been able to tell. Brian's also a very disagreeable person. Doesn't mean you're a bad person.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Bad. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's like we turned the whole subject about
Wait, into the mic.
We turned the whole subject about me taking down my stilettos at the door.
Yeah,
It's been like a 15
but I do think that in
conversation.
terms of relationships, though, it is a bit black and white when it comes
It's
to
not
submission.
reflecting on who I am or my personality or my dating habits or behavior.
Yeah, but can you see how it might be an indicator?
Could be, you don't know me.
I don't, but we have to go off on what we've seen. So
Yeah,
if we've
but
only
there's-
known you for an hour.
But if you judge me on one thing, that's because of my shoes, me asking why, it's
well,
okay.
To that though, first impressions are super important. I bet every single girl here at this table has been on a first date with a dude, and the dude, within 10 seconds, don't like this dude, don't want to see him again. You've already made up your mind. First impressions super important. You guys look at a dude, he might not even open his mouth, and you've already decided, never gonna date this guy, never gonna sleep with him. He gets nothing. So this idea that, that like women operate the same way. You guys are gonna totally reject guys immediately. If he's not on point in the first 5 minutes of the date, it's over.
I think that's too short. I think that's too short a
It's too
time
short.
because I think I'd give them about the whole date. I give them the whole date.
Okay.
I'm patient enough that I could sit
So
here.
you're telling me, you're telling me that you haven't made up your mind within the first 10 seconds as to, like, have you had a one-night stand or hooked up with a guy? Yeah. Whatever, it is what it is. You figured that out immediately. You don't, an hour
But I
in,
didn't
okay, now
though. You're
I've
assuming
decided to
that,
fuck him.
but I didn't though because maybe I'm thinking about it for a while. I went on the whole date and I'm like, he did a couple of weird things, But then I go home and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it wasn't that bad. He only said he wouldn't take his shoes off at the
But
door.
you went home alone?
Of course I went home alone. It's the first date.
Well, he was talking about the hookups.
Oh, the hookups didn't. Let's move on.
You probably knew within the first like 10 minutes in that particular situation.
How drunk
I
are
think
we?
women tend to get a really good gauge. Women tend to have a really good gauge on whether they like the guy pretty much straight away.
I just wouldn't say it's within 10 minutes. I would give it longer than that for sure.
Fair.
Jake, I need to get up really quick to check the audio. You want to ask a question for the panel?
All right, so we're going to do a scenario. It's a hypothetical scenario that you guys can engage with. If you were at a job, no sidebar in conversations, guys. If you were at a job interview, but the job interview was for the man of your dreams. Imagine everything you could ever possibly want in a man. That's the guy. He's there. But what you've got to do is you've got to walk in to the interview and you've got to sell yourself. How are you going to sell yourself? How are you going to show him that you're special and different?
Can we start on that end? That's a deep question.
Does anybody feel like starting?
I would just be myself because if it's meant to be, it'll work out.
And what's yourself?
I mean, I don't know. I would like to say that I'm like outgoing, I'm funny, I'm nice. You know, there's a lot of things that go into me, but I think when you're around me, you'll pick up the vibe. And if you're not into that is what it is. Then you're obviously not my dream man because my dream man would accept me for who I am and how I bring myself to the table.
Okay, and yourself?
If it was for my dream man, I will listen to what he have to say to me because when you listen, they really tell to you who they really are. So I will bring some questions and see, what and how he answer.
So you're going to flip the script and interview him?
Both ways. Yeah, I let him talk, I said.
You said you're going to bring questions for him.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring some questions.
Okay, yeah.
But you said the man of your dreams, so
Yes.
of course you have to ask some
No, you already know
questions.
he's the man of your dreams. That's the whole hypothetical.
Oh, I didn't understand
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah, so you already know he's the man of your dreams.
Okay.
Everything you could ever want. What are you going to?
So
How are you
I'm
going to sell
just going to
yourself?
be me and let him lead the way. Absolutely.
What if he sits there and he's got his feet up on the table
Yeah.
and he's doing this like Mr. Burns
Okay.
and he's just waiting for you to talk
Okay.
in like a really sort of like mysterious, handsome sort
So
of way.
I'm just going to break a joke to break the silence. Bring something funny.
Okay, and yourself?
I guess I would just be myself. That's a hard question to answer.
What is yourself?
I don't know.
Try speaking into the microphone.
I don't know. I could be a lot of things. I could be goofy. I could be intelligent. It depends on the vibe, where we're at.
But if he says, if his question to you is, tell me about yourself. Like, I want to know what makes you different, what makes you special, and what you could bring to my life. Go.
If he's the man of my dreams, I'm not going to have to sell myself. This is not going to be a pitch.
You
I'm
don't
not
think
gonna
you have
bring
to
the
s-
whole
You
presentation?
You
Like,
don't think you'd have
he's going to love it or he's going to hate it.
You don't
or
think that
he's
you would
gonna-
have to sell yourself to the man of your dreams?
Definitely
You
not.
just have to appear. Okay, and yourself?
I really agree with all of them. And she said about the questions, I agree with that because if he's the man of my dreams and I know what I want, well, what does he want?
Everything you could possibly think of, he's got it. So
Right.
now what would you say?
So I would ask him what he's looking for in a woman, and I would also try to be that for him and, of course, come with all my natural qualities. And, over time, a room for a few minutes is not going to let you know who I really am. We would spend time together to reveal that in time.
Okay.
I'd be myself. Come up with a new answer, guys. I wouldn't fucking walk in there with
whatever
a
that
fucking wig
self
on.
is. Whatever that self is, what is it? Tell us what it is.
I'm Yami. If you know me, then you know me.
Okay.
And if you
I
don't, you'll get to know me.
If my dream man would be sitting, interviewing, waiting. Like I felt like
So, the idea is that
Right.
the idea is that it's a hypothetical. So with a hypothetical, it's an imaginary scenario. It's designed to get an answer. So